The movie begins off on a deserted island with a guy named Zilin, who's trekking across the top of a massive glacier, trying to find a safe spot to set up camp. While he's moving, he slips and falls into a freezing river, but after a bunch of tries, he manages to climb out and keep going on his journey. After a while, he gets totally wiped out from walking and sits down by a rock to catch his breath. He's so starving that he eats a flower growing right there by the rock, and then he starts flashing back to everything that happened to him and how he ended up in this mess. We see Zilin back inside a prison after being sentenced to life behind bars for murder because he supposedly killed 6 people. One day, a guard takes him to see the prison warden, and the warden asks him what his biggest dream in life is. Zilin finds the question pretty weird and just stays quiet thinking about it. He wasn't the only prisoner asked this, though, because the warden called in several inmates and asked them the same thing. Among them was Moryak, who said he just wanted to see the ocean again and smell the sea coral. Yakut said he wanted to get out and join the war against China. Obzian was totally bold and told the warden he wanted to take his job and be the warden himself. Bezian didn't say a single word. Tulya said he was into space science and wanted to follow what was happening with the space stations. Seba just wanted to see women again. Finally, it was Zilin's turn, but his answer was really vague and didn't make much sense. Then the warden lets them know they're being transferred to colonies on an island in the middle of the ocean to serve out the rest of their time. Over time, the prisoners are prepped and moved onto a ship that has cells just like a prison to get them to the island. The inmates are split into groups, and each group is thrown into a single cell together. Obzian starts acting like the big boss of everyone and even kills one of the guys just to take his bed so everyone else will be terrified of him. After a bit, the ship starts moving toward the island, and the prisoners start getting scared and freaking out. They start yelling at each other because they think the government is lying to them and just wants to dump them in the ocean to get rid of them. Right then, Zilin remembers a conversation between him and his cellmate Seba back in prison. We find out that Seba has mental issues and psychological disorders that make him say things that don't make any sense, and he draws weird stuff on the walls that Zilin can't figure out. One day, Zilin hears him saying the government is building a place for them that's going to be just like hell. At the time, Zilin just ignored him like usual, thinking it was just crazy talk. But thinking back on it now, given the situation they're in, he realizes Seba's words might actually be true, and the government is definitely cooking up something dangerous. After a while, all the prisoners calm down and just eat and talk, but it doesn't take long before a gang manages to get out of their cell. They start looking for their buddy among the other prisoners and find him locked up with Obzian's group, so they let him out. At first, Obzian acts like he's going to negotiate with them, but then he suddenly kills the guy right in front of his friends to finish him off. That kicks off a massive brawl between the prisoners, and they start beating each other through the bars. We see an old man named Starry sitting far away from the chaos, totally calm, doing nothing but praying. After a bit, the guards show up and threaten them with guns to get control of the situation, throwing gas grenades at them to knock them out so they can get them back in their cells. Finally, they reach the deserted island in the middle of the sea. They're all handcuffed, and every set of cuffs has a number on it. They're made to sit on the ground to listen to instructions from Mr. Olofsson and Mrs. Marta, who are in charge of something called Project Terra Nova. They tell the inmates that most countries have abolished the death penalty and replaced it with life in prison, which has made the prisons totally overcrowded. That's why the Russian government decided to dedicate this island to Project Terra Nova, which will be fully overseen and backed by a group of participating countries. From today on, they'll live on this island under their protection, and they'll provide everything they need to survive, like food, clothes, and tools for their daily lives. They actually bring out food crates meant to last them for 3 months. They also explain that they'll be monitored 24/7 via satellite. But right in the middle of the speech, Obzian objects because he hates the idea of being watched all the time. He gets aggressive and throws a big rock at Olofsson. The guards threaten them immediately and fire shots into the air to take control. Marta finishes her speech and lets them know they're leaving some floats around them. They can take one and reach a red button located some distance from the shore. They can press it to request whatever they need, and if the button light turns green, it means their request was approved. Also, if anyone wants to quit the project, they can hit that red button and give their reason. If the authorities agree, they might send them back to regular prison. That's why she warns them to think very carefully about their choice before they go hit that button. Because once they're on the island, there's no turning back. She also explains they put the red button far from the shore so the inmates have time to really think about their requests before pressing it. Before the guards leave the island, they toss a bunch of numbered keys on the ground so the prisoners can unlock their handcuffs. Right then, the prisoners start rushing for the keys like savages, trampling each other just to get their cuffs off. But Zelin and Siba wait further away and just pick up the keys the other prisoners throw behind them. Old man Starry just watches them from a distance too. It gets so bad that they start killing each other just to get a key and unlock their cuffs before anyone else. During the fight, a group of them runs to the crates the guards left and grabs weapons to kill each other with. In the end, a gang led by a guy named Ali takes control of the rest of the prisoners. Ali takes a pair of boots and a jacket for himself and for his friend Starry. Then Ali starts picking one of the prisoners to take a float out into the sea to go press the red button. While he's busy with that, the other prisoners take the chance to jump them, and the battle breaks out all over again. This time, a huge number of prisoners die, including Ali and Starry. As for the 3 guys who got on the float in the middle of the fight and headed for the red button, they ended up drowning in the sea and died. After that, the rest of the prisoners go to the warehouse and start divvying up everything inside. Zelin takes his fair share of the supplies, and Siba tells him there's no way this food will last them 3 months. Later, Zelin decides to head out on his own, away from the rest of the prisoners, to find a place to hide until he can figure out a way to get off the island safely. He starts scouting the island, hoping to find anything that'll help him escape, until he reaches a spot with rocks where he can sit away from the snow. He sits down and pulls out a photo of his family that he had hidden in his prison clothes, and he just stares at his wife and kids while crying. Then he falls asleep. A few hours later, he wakes up to a sound nearby and discovers a pack of rats tore up his bag and ate most of his food. It starts raining and gets freezing, so Zelin hides under the rocks, lights a fire, and heats up some water to stay warm. After a bit, the rain stops, so he comes out from under the rocks, catches a bird, and grills it. While he's eating, he sees his buddy Siba standing in front of him. He finds out Siba had been following him and watching him ever since he left. He shares his food with him, and they start talking. Right then, Siba tries to steal Zilin's knife, but Zelin catches him and takes it back, warning him not to steal from him ever again. Siba apologizes and explains he's just starving, and he offers Zelin a bag of salt in exchange for a piece of the bird. Zelin agrees and lets him eat with him. Siba goes to get some wood from the rocks to keep the fire going and sees the photo of Zilin's family. After they finish eating, Siba goes to stand on the edge of a cliff and tells Zelin he wants to jump and end his life, but he's too scared to do it. He asks Zelin why he's still living and hasn't killed himself yet, even though there's no chance for a real life. Zelin tells him he dreams of going back to his city and being buried next to his family, and that won't happen as long as he's stuck on this island. After that, he and Siba keep scouting the island, hoping to find anything useful. They reach a lake, and Zelin tries to look for fish, but it's empty except for some jellyfish. Siba tries to pull one out but gets scared and tosses it away. Right then, Zelin notices part of a seaplane crashed among the rocks. A little further away, he finds the rest of the plane parts, and that gives him hope all over again that he can get off the island and survive, because Zelin used to be a pilot and knows how to fly it. But the problem is he can't move it with just Siba alone. So they decide to leave it for now and go back to their spot by the rocks until they can get a group of prisoners to help them. When they get back, Zelin uses the matches he took from the warehouse to start a fire, but as soon as he lights one, it lets out toxic smoke and he starts coughing like crazy. He has to drag Siba away, who had passed out. After a few moments, he manages to wake him up and he regains consciousness. Siba starts babbling nonsense as usual, and Zelin doesn't pay him much attention. Then the weather gets even colder and snow covers the whole place. They can't handle the cold anymore. They decide to go back to where the other prisoners are, hoping to find some coal to light a fire and get warm. But when they get back, they find the situation there has turned really bad. Obzian's gang has taken over all the other prisoners and set up a colony. Obzian has turned into a sort of prison warden, just like he dreamed. He controls all the prisoners, the food, and everything in the warehouse. He set up a work schedule and food rations for them. He's also keeping the prisoners locked in a warehouse like a jail, only letting them out once in a while to get some air before putting them back. Obzian watches everything from a high guard tower with one of his henchmen named Stans. As soon as Stans orders them back into the warehouse, all the prisoners run as fast as they can to get inside, because the last person left outside gets killed and eaten. At the same time, Zilin and Siba manage to reach the spot where the coal is and find the remains of a fire that was burning nearby. They sit by it to get warm and fall asleep from pure exhaustion. But Siba wakes up to the sound of the gang carrying a prisoner to grill him over the fire and eat him. He realizes that hunger has turned them into a bunch of cannibals just so they can survive. Siba runs and hides behind a rock, then goes back to Zilin and tries to wake him up to take him and hide together. Right then, the gang discovers them and captures them, taking them back to Obzian so he can decide their punishment. They accuse them of stealing food and running away as soon as they got to the island. Right then, Yakut tried to help them and talk to Obzian, letting him know they were part of their group during the fight on the ship. But Stans, the tower guard, gets mad at Yakut for interrupting and realizes he's trying to help them, so they beat Yakut and knock him to the ground. The gang crowds around him and keeps hitting him. Then they take all three of them and lock them up with the rest of the prisoners. During the time the prisoners are allowed to walk outside the warehouse, which has basically become a prison for them, Stans calls them to go back inside. Zilin just stays standing there outside, so Siba runs over and pulls him to get him inside the warehouse quickly. One last prisoner is left behind, so they grab him and tie him up to finish him off and grill him so they can eat him too. He keeps begging for a drink until Siba brings him a cup of water, feeling terrible about what's going to happen to him. That same night, the prisoners get together in the warehouse and think about a way to start a revolt against Obzian's system, but they're hesitant because they'd be putting their lives on the line. A guy named Shram tells them they have to try so they can get rid of him. The next day, Tulya shows his buddy a trap he made, so if anyone tries to steal food from the warehouse, they'll fall in. After that, Zilin goes to talk to Obzian and offers to let them take the float and request food, and in return, he'll tell him the location of the plane he found on the island. Obzian agrees and opens the warehouse gate for them. Zilin, Tulya, and two others head out on the boat to hit the distress button and ask for food. After a bit, Obzian asks his men if they know anything about Zilin. One of them tells him he was a pilot and his family died in a plane crash. He went to prison after killing the 6 people responsible for the crash that killed his family. After that, Obzian calls the prisoners he had locked up and orders them back into the warehouse, telling them the deal between him and Zilin is off. When Yakut objects to what he's saying, he kills him instantly and threatens the rest of the prisoners that if they don't get back in the warehouse, he'll kill them too. They get scared and all run back inside immediately. Meanwhile, Zilin and his group reach the distress button but discover it's broken and not working. They try to fix it and press it anyway. After a bit, they head back to the island. When they get back, Zilin discovers what happened and that Obzian broke their deal. He tells him they pressed the button and requested food and that it's on the way now. But Obzian doesn't believe him because he didn't see the green light. Zilin explains it's broken and doesn't light up, but they definitely pressed it. He also mentions the plane, but Obzian doesn't believe that either, saying it's just a story they made up and the plane doesn't exist. Right then, Bezyan starts acting weird to distract Obzian, and Tulya takes the chance to stab him in the neck and finish him off. They also take out the last 2 guys from Obzian's gang. Right then, Stan sees them and runs away before they can catch him. Zilin asks them to free all the prisoners and explains he's not lying. He really did request food and it's on the way, and they didn't see the green light because the button was broken. They doubt him and say they're going to feed on the bodies of their dead comrades, but Tulya objects and tells them they have to bury those bodies. After that, he frees the prisoners, and Zilin tells them the food will arrive soon and they won't have to eat their dead friends anymore. From now on, they have to stay calm and cooperate so they can figure out how to get off the island. He tells them he'll pick a group to go get the plane and they'll keep it in a safe spot so they can fix it and escape the island without anyone finding out. During their talk, Siba interrupts and explains there are no satellites watching them. He figured this out after he wrote a distress message on the beach and no one noticed or came to help them. Later, Stans comes back to the base, but no one does anything to him despite being angry, thanks to Xylan's instructions to handle things calmly and cooperate. After that, Xylan and a group reach the plane, and they're so happy when they realize he wasn't lying and there really is a plane. They start gathering the parts and moving them to the base. A few days later, Marta and the guards arrive at the island with the food. The guards keep the prisoners away using gas grenades, Marta lets Xylan know she only wants to sit with him, and she negotiates with him about the things they requested. She asks suspiciously about the gasoline that was on their list of requests. He tries to trick her so she doesn't realize they're going to use it for the plane, and he justifies the request by saying he needs the gas for power generators because it's freezing and they need heat. He asks her why they didn't respond to Seba's distress message. Marta explains that their satellite is the thermal tracking kind, which is why they didn't see his message. She asks why a group of them was away from the base, and Xylan says they went out fishing, but she doesn't believe him since there are 0 fish around them. Xylan thinks fast and tells her they went out to catch jellyfish. Marta asks about the number of remaining prisoners, which surprises Xylan because the satellite should show the head count, but he tells her there are 87 left and most are sick. After Marta and her team leave, Xylan and his men go to the plane and put the gas in to test it. They're thrilled when they see it actually works. The next day, they're shocked to see the guards back on the island, and they see them bringing a large group of American prisoners. This group also has a leader, so Xylan goes to offer a peace gesture, but the leader rejects it and hits him. A violent and intense battle breaks out between the two sides. Seba takes Xylan and hides him in the warehouse. One of the American prisoners tries to go after them, but falls into the trap Tulya had set and dies instantly. During the battle, the warehouse catches fire with everything inside. We see Marta watching from a distance as they finish each other off until half the prisoners are dead. She decides to end the project since things have spiraled out of control. But they get instructions to execute the backup plan immediately, which is to send a squad of soldiers to wipe out all the prisoners. She actually sends them, and only a few are left with Xylan. They're hidden by the plane. They take the plane and start moving it to escape the island. Xylan and the 2 guys with him take off in the plane amidst gunfire coming from everywhere around them. The guards manage to hit the 2 guys with Xylan, and they die. But Xylan manages to escape them narrowly and gets off the island. He ends up as the lone survivor after all the torture he saw in prison. And that's the end of our movie. I hope you liked it. If you want to follow us and see the rest of the movies, subscribe and hit the bell. See you next one.